Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Aquarius December 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is, as far as December goes, the Sun will be in Sagittarius from the 1st until the 21st. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, there could be a strong focus, concentration of energy and attention on friends, acquaintances, goals, aspirations, one's future, humanitarian endeavors, groups, clubs, organizations, social media, and even social networking, and even stepchildren if applicable. Now, could be Sagittarius stepchildren or ones that embody Sagittarius-like characteristics, or Sagittarius Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or ones that embody Sagittarius characteristics. Anyway, now this could be done with a lot of Sagittarius-like exuberance, enthusiasm, ebullient energy, a lot of expansiveness, positivity, seeing the glass half full as opposed to half empty. A lot of jocularity and joviality, and also perhaps a lot of optimism, and very philosophical as well, and a lot of effervescence. But given this is Sagittarius energy, remember it also can have some negatives to it as well, despite Sagittarius being arguably the most positive of all the zodiac signs. Could be done with a lot of foolhardiness too, and recklessness, and over-optimism, and even tactlessness. Now, I mean, when you look at the over-optimism, I mean, say if you're doing something sports-related, you're trying to attain as an aspiration, say, as an example, throwing this out there arbitrarily, just trying to lift a certain weight, you don't want to necessarily overshoot your mark and do something, that might be foolhardy or reckless and wind up causing some kind of injury to yourself in the process. Sagittarius can be accident-prone energy. I see that as far as Sagittarius goes. So anyway, next thing up. As far as December goes, the Sun will be in Capricorn from the 21st until the 31st. So the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, there could be a strong concentration of energy, focus, and attention on one's limitations, restrictions, those less fortunate than yourself, such as the impoverished, the homeless, the hungry. It could also be on solitude, seclusion, even self-undoing, and private matters as well. Some cases, clandestine affairs, in some isolated cases. Now also secret sorrows, and in some cases mental illness, and even hidden adversaries. Now, given this is Capricorn energy, this could be done with a lot very methodical energy, very orthodox, organized manner, with a lot of discipline, even structure. Also very conventional and very prudent as well, very cautious, with a lot of planning and premeditation. Now, also too, and also with a lot of Capricorn, perhaps like ambition. Now, also in some cases, it could shine the light on in some cases, a Capricorn hidden adversary. It could be a Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply one that embodies Capricorn-like characteristics. In some cases, it could even be a mental illness as well. Something connects Capricorn-like, such as like depression or some seasonal depression, something connected with a lot of despondency and sadness, perhaps. But those could be very isolated cases. So anyway, but there could be a focus on that, though, on the other hand, if one already has one. So anyway, next thing up. There will be a new moon in Sagittarius on December 7th. So the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, in some cases, this could be a new Sagittarius goal or aspiration. It could be something connected with advertising, publishing, translation, sports, religion, philosophy, even the law, perhaps some kind of law aspiration. Could be something just in the legal field in general. It could be doing something as a paralegal or an attorney, or as a judge or bailiff. It could be a new Sagittarius friend or an acquaintance, or even stepchild. In some cases, it could be people that could be a Sagittarius Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, or simply ones that embody Sagittarius characteristics. Now also too, this could be the start of perhaps hope and optimism, perhaps injected into the future, and also a lot of expansive energy, perhaps in expanding social networking and people on social media as well. Expand a new period perhaps of expanding your friends and even your groups. It could be a new trip that you may take, a long distance journey, something with exploration and adventure. It could be with a friend or an acquaintance you may know. It could be something that is group related. And also in some cases too, it could be the start of some sports group or maybe a religious group, a Sagittarius group that maybe you may join or even start. Or it could be maybe a religious group you may actually join at this time, or even a publishing firm in some cases, or just something that is related to publishing and advertising. Anyway, people, next thing up. There will be a full moon in Cancer on December 22nd, so the 6th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, in some cases, this could be about the unveiling or revelation of a Cancerian illness, and especially if this makes an inconjunct to one's ascendant and one's actual ascendant in one's chart. It could be something with the stomach related, something with ulcers, or something with the chest or breast area. Now also too, this could be a time when you're talking about a full moon in astrology. This could be a time where you might become very full, so to speak, tired, exasperated. In this case, it could be a rather temperamental, fickle, moody, overly needy, clingy, vulnerable, sensitive, even dependent. It could be an aunt, an uncle, someone prominent in your daily routine. It could be somebody in your work life, even a pesky doctor even, that might be constantly getting on you to do the right thing, for example, as far as your health habits or diet may go, which is not always bad, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't agitate you or exasperate you to some degree. Also, too, this could represent the culmination, perhaps, or completion of a Cancerian employment or work-related matter. It could be something Cancerian related, such as something doing a home renovation or remodeling, something with laundry, cooking, culinary work, working in a restaurant, something with water, such as working as a lifeguard, or doing something else that might be water related, or doing something as a fisherman, perhaps something that could be Cancerian related. And also too, this could be a lot of a very full, powerful expression and energy, perhaps very sympathetic and nurturing energy into service rendered, and even just perhaps at your place of employment as well, as far as your dealings maybe with your, perhaps with your fellow employees. So anyway, next thing up. Mercury will be in Scorpio as far as December goes, from the 1st until the 12th. So the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, you might find yourself involved more with incisive, provocative, deep, and very probing communications with the authority figures, the dominant parent, which is often the father, people that might figure prominently in your career, and even your reputation and public image. Say if you're in some position where you have a promoter or somebody that helps, is somehow helping you maybe gain some kind of exposure or notoriety. Also, too, as I've talked about previously, that Mercury can also be about siblings. So this could be a case where perhaps Scorpio siblings, they could be Scorpio sun, moon, or ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Scorpio-like characteristics, might factor in prominently in notoriety, recognition, success perhaps. It could be in your career-related matters. They might be more involved with the dominant parent, which is often the father, again, which of course it would be their father as well. But you might be involved in some kind of group-related, I guess you could say, matters with them and the dominant parent. Now, also too, This might be a time where you might be contemplating and thinking about making perhaps a transformation or major change in your career at this time. But at the same time, avoid perhaps obsessive or fixated thinking at this time in terms of attaining success or some kind of position of authority or attaining notoriety and recognition. Anyway, people, hold on a moment. Sorry about that, I'm back. Anyway, next thing up. Mercury will be in Sagittarius as far as December goes, from the 12th until the 31st, so the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, you might find yourself thinking very positively and optimistically about your future at this time, and also talking, find yourself perhaps talking about Sagittarius goals and aspirations. They could be much conversation related to sports, as far as your aspirations and goals go, the law, religion, philosophy, or you could just be talking to friends and acquaintances regarding these matters. Now, also, too, as I've stated previously and I just stated before, that Mercury can also be about siblings. You might find your at this time perhaps Sagittarius siblings. They might maybe Sagittarius Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Sagittarius-like characteristics may figure prominently in your aspirations, your goals, even your future, and even matters with groups, clubs, and organizations. Perhaps maybe one or more of them may join one of those things with you. So, also, too, you might be thinking and contemplating more about expanding your horizons, and it could be through social networking. It could also, this could manifest as well, perhaps in very veritable, voracious, very blunt and truthful conversations with 11th house people. They could be stepchildren in some cases. They could be friends, acquaintances, people that you may know on social media through social networking, and also a lot of voracious conversations about the future at this particular point in time. And anyway, next thing up. Venus will be in Scorpio for the majority of the month, so the 10th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, this could be a time where Scorpio relationships factor in very strongly, perhaps with your success, your career, your public image, and notoriety. They could be Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Scorpio-like characteristics. Also, this could be about the enjoyment of Scorpio-like things with the dominant parent. It could be with authority figures if you have a rapport with them, and also people that figure prominently in your career. It could be playing a Ouija board, playing some kind of horror game, maybe some mystery, or trying to solve some puzzle, or playing like a Sherlock Holmes game, or anything that could be Scorpio related, something with astrology, the occult, supernatural. Even locksmithing could be a Scorpio-like thing if something you might enjoy actually as a hobby, for example. But another thing too is that money perhaps made through Scorpio-related things may help you gain more recognition and exposure at this time. And also this could manifest perhaps in valuing resourcefulness and emotional intensity in career related matters, and really and it could also be really also perhaps even in attaining success or position of authority. Also, too, this could manifest perhaps in valuing going through subterfuge and superficiality with 10th house people, such as the dominant parent. It could be an authority figure, somebody that might figure prominently perhaps in your public image and your reputation as well. Anyway, next thing up is Mars will be in Pisces, so the 2nd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, this could be where you might inject a lot of energy, perhaps dealing with it might be confusing monetary matters. It could be dealing, perhaps it might be a time where you become angry or really exasperated at somebody that is overly passive, deceptive, duplicitous, lethargic, indolent person that maybe you actually valued at one time, or somebody you generate money with. You might find yourself too perhaps fulfilling a sexual fantasy with perhaps a person you know at the place that you generate income. It could also be about a lot of self-sacrificing and compassionate energy that is connected with your resources and your possessions at this time. And also, I mean, putting a lot of idealistic energy perhaps into matters in terms of maybe improving one's self-esteem and self-worth at this time. So that's how some of this may pan out. So anyway, well, and also it could be about putting a lot of energy into a Pisces related thing in terms of generating income, such as the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Could also be spiritual, something maybe with oceanography, poetry, dancing, chemistry, photography, special effects, or it could be working as a magician, something that could be Pisces related. So anyway, you might find yourself becoming somewhat angry and acrimonious over people messing with your possessions, but it's a little hard to be assertive and really confrontational about it because Mars, it would be in passive Pisces. Anyway, next thing up. Jupiter will be in Sagittarius at this time. So at this time, the 11th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, as I've talked about previously in other videos, that Jupiter can be rather paradoxical, could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. And in some cases, this may very well expand and enlarge rather foolhardy, self-righteous, over-optimistic, even recklessness in matters with attaining goals, aspirations. It could be matters with your friends, with acquaintances, perhaps, and also dealing with, this could also be a lot of hope and optimism, perhaps through joining some kind of religious organization or sports club or something that could be Sagittarius related, but also very positive perhaps for, and lucky and fortunate perhaps for expanding your horizons and really expanding your friendships in terms of your friendships and maybe group involvement at this time as well. And it could be very positive for your future as well. And also expanding jocularity, joviality with friends and acquaintances, and even expanding your horizons, lucky for and fortunate for expanding your horizons perhaps on social media and through social networking at this time. So anyway, next thing up. Jupiter will be in Capricorn at, Saturn will be in Capricorn at this time, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now at this time you might find yourself to be a little bit more introverted and introspective at this time, really about dealing with limitation. It could be a time where you're really at this time you might find where your sorrows are dealt with secretly. I mean, this is the house of secret sorrows, but even more so at this time since we're talking about Saturn in there. And also, you might find yourself discarding what's frivolous, what's superfluous at this time. And also, you may be doing some kind of laborious work in solitude and seclusion. It could be something government related. And also, or even something from something that might be business related as well. Now, I have this, I have Saturn in the 12th natally, and this is something where it's a very, I mean, this is a very kind of, I guess you could say, introverted and introspective type placement. And also, I mean, I lost my father at a very young age. When somebody has this in some kind of in a transit, Sometimes this could reflect, sadly, the passing of a father, or the relationship perhaps with the father, or even older people in general, or that maybe you know well, might be a little bit dissipated at this time, or the father might go, maybe might not necessarily go into hiding, but maybe is desiring more time to his or herself, and you might have less contact with that person at this particular point in time. So anyway, anyway, hold on a moment, people. Yeah, and you might really feel like there might be a desire to get away from society during this time. And as I've stated before, I have this placement natally, so I understand. I mean, this is a very, like I said, it's a very, like, when you have this happen, there can be very strong need for that solitude and that seclusion at this particular point in time. So anyway, next thing up. Uranus will be in Aries, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, you might find yourself dealing with perhaps very, you might be dealing with unpredictable, acrimonious, volatile behavior, perhaps from siblings, from neighbors, from cousins, maybe people that are prominent in your short journeys. Also, too, you might find yourself coming up with really, good ideas very spontaneously and extemporaneously. You might find yourself talking and communicating more about things that are very ingenious ideas you might be coming up with, and that could be very original, ingenious, and very pioneering. It might be too where you might be seeing the behavior of third house people being a little bit more unpredictable than usual. Again, like the siblings, your cousins, your neighbors, people you may know in prominent short journeys, even people that you may have known from your early education as well. So, I mean, those are some ways that this could manifest during this time. And also, you might find yourself maybe showing a lot of humanitarianism through your short journeys at this particular point in time, and even maybe communicating about Uranus-like things more so than usual. Maybe things such as innovation, computers, electronics, astrology, astronomy, and aerospace even. So those are some ways that this may manifest. So anyway, next thing up. Neptune will still be in Pisces, of course, so the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, well, this could be a time where you might be dealing with some kind of dissipation or dissolving of some kind of assets. It could be finances, your resources, your possessions. On another, and maybe at this time you might be dealing with very unrealistic values. You may be a little bit more susceptible to succumbing to some kind of financial deception or duplicity at this time, especially depending on the aspects this makes, making a lot of adverse aspects to points in your chart. This making, say, an adverse aspect to your natal, say, to your natal Venus. That could be something where it might exacerbate, or I should say maybe increase that propensity for maybe having to deal with some kind of financial deception or fraud. Be guard against money-making schemes at this time that might seem a little bit fishy, so to speak. No pun intended, of course, given that this is Neptune in Pisces, but of course, there was. Also, too, you might find at this time where you might be generating income through something Neptune related, such as photography, chemistry, poetry, dancing, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, something connected with illusion, such as working as a magician or doing something with special effects. And you might find yourself at this time really where maybe your self-esteem or self-worth might be dissipating or dissolving, but you might be able to also use this as being and having idealism in those matters as well. And maybe through spirituality that might do something through, if you're somebody that's a spiritual, religious person, what have you, through some kind of prayer and doing so to maybe increase, maybe, on matters with self-esteem. That could be, some way that this may manifest. So anyway, well, the next thing up is, last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but I'm going to anyway. In some cases, this could reflect the actual literal death of an aunt or an uncle, and it could be maybe even someone that may be prominent in your private life. It could be somebody also that maybe if you were involved in a clandestine affair with, in some isolated cases, it could reflect that as well. Also, too, another way this could manifest as well is that you might be attracting powerful hidden adversaries, but also trying to gain power and control in your private life as well. Some cases, this could also manifest perhaps in that a literal, like a figurative death or obliteration, maybe of some kind of, or maybe something in your private life. But remember that Pluto is also about rebirth and regeneration. When something goes away with Pluto, it could often come back at some point. You could often get a revival and a resurgence, and a lot of times it's something where something's supplanted. But in this case, since we're just talking about your private life, this is something that could maybe you might feel like it's destroyed at one point, but at the same time it could be revival. But guard against, at this time too, it could be where obsessive or fixated behavior can be one's self undoing. You don't want to drive the wrong people away for example, by becoming overly fixated or obsessive with them, or maybe over some object or some kind of interest, for example, because that could take you away from doing something else and where you might have been more productive at. So in those ways, those are some examples that could be maybe might be to self undoing. Dealing with upheavals in your private life, that's another way this may pan out. And also too, in some cases this may manifest in like a plutonian, like some kind of obsessive compulsive mental issue or disorder, but those are isolated cases, and in some cases it could be a destructive mental illness. But anyway, though, like I said, those are very isolated. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Aquarius December 2018 horoscope forecast. Stay tuned next time where I'll be giving you my Pisces December 2018 horoscope forecast. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.